Section 1. The Whispers of Alexandria. Close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and let it out slowly. Let the weight of the day fade away as we step backward through the mist of time, moving thousands of years into the past. We find ourselves standing before one of the greatest sanctuaries of knowledge the world has ever known, the Great Library of Alexandria. Imagine the cool Mediterranean breeze brushing against your skin. It is twilight. The bustling port city of Alexandria is growing quiet. The merchants have packed away their spices, silks, and vibrant dyes. The deep blue waves of the sea gently lap against the stone harbor, creating a rhythmic, mesmerizing sound. You walk down a grand, columned avenue made of smooth white marble. The moonlight reflects off the stone, illuminating your path. Ahead lies the library. It is not just a building, it is a palace for the human mind, a silent grove of wisdom. As you step inside, the air changes. It becomes cool still and carries the faint, comforting scent of aged papyrus, dried ink, and beeswax candles. The vast halls stretch out before you, illuminated by the soft, flickering glow of oil lamps. There are no loud noises here. Every sound is muffled, wrapped in a blanket of ancient peace. Along the walls, thousands of wooden niches hold countless scrolls. Each scroll is a treasure, handwritten by scholars, philosophers, and travelers from every corner of the known world. Here lie the thoughts of Aristotle, the geometries of Euclid, and the maps of forgotten empires. They rest in the dark, silent and still, waiting for nothing but the night to pass. You sit down on a smooth, curved stone bench in the center of a grand courtyard. Above you, the ceiling is open to the night sky. The stars in the Egyptian night are incredibly bright, shining like diamonds on black velvet. You watch them align with the tops of the massive Corinthian columns. Listen closely to the silence of the library. It is a living silence. Occasionally, you hear the soft, rhythmic rustle of a scholar turning a papyrus scroll in a distant corner. The sound is like dry autumn leaves moving gently in a light wind. It repeats, regular and calm. There is no rush here. Time does not move in minutes or hours. It moves in centuries. The knowledge stored in these walls has outlived kings and empires. It is safe, permanent, and quiet. As you visualize the endless rows of scrolls, your mind begins to feel heavy, matching the profound stillness of the ancient knowledge around you. You are safe. You are at peace. Section 2. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad. The scene gently dissolves, fading like a soft cloud in a morning sky. The Mediterranean breeze transforms into the warm, dry air of a desert night. We travel forward in time to the golden age of Baghdad, standing outside the legendary House of Wisdom, Beit al-Hikmah. The Tigris River flows nearby. Its waters are dark and calm, reflecting the crescent moon that hangs perfectly in the eastern sky. The river makes a low, continuous humming sound as it moves through the heart of the city. It is a natural lullaby, steady and unchanging. The House of Wisdom is surrounded by a lush, quiet garden. The scent of blooming jasmine and night-flowering roses fills the air, sweet and deeply relaxing. Water trickles softly from a central stone fountain, a gentle drip-drop-drip that clears your mind of all stray thoughts. You walk through an archway decorated with intricate, geometric tile patterns. The colors are deep blues, turquoises, and golds, soft under the moonlight. Inside, the floors are covered with thick, woolen Persian carpets that absorb every footstep. You walk in complete silence. Scholars from all over the world, translators, astronomers, and poets, have spent their days here, translating ancient Greek, Indian, and Persian texts into Arabic. But now, the inkwells are closed. The heavy bronze astrolabes, used to map the movements of the stars, rest silently on wooden tables. The long, delicate reed pens are laid out in neat rows. You find a comfortable seating area filled with soft silk cushions. As you sit back, you look out a tall, arched window. The city of Baghdad is asleep. Thousands of flat clay roofs rest under the stars. the desert wind gently rustles the leaves of the palm trees outside the window. The work here is done for the night. The ideas of mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy are resting. They are bound in beautifully crafted leather books, resting on cedarwood shelves that give off a warm, grounding aroma. Feel the absolute safety of this space. It is a fortress of thought, insulated from the chaos of the outside world. The universe is vast, orderly, and beautifully balanced. Just like the stars moving in their predictable paths above the Tigris, your breath becomes slow, regular, and deep. Section 3. The Library of Celsus at Ephesus. The desert night of Baghdad gently fades, replaced by the crisp, clean air of an Aegean evening. We move to the ancient city of Ephesus, standing before the magnificent facade of the Library of Celsus. The sun has long set over the sea, and the intense heat of the day has given way to a cool, refreshing night breeze that carries the faint, salty scent of the nearby coast. The grand marble steps leading up to the library are bathed in the silver glow of the moon. The towering columns cast long, soft shadows across the stone courtyard. Inside, the architecture is designed with a unique, double-walled system built specifically to protect the thousands of precious parchment scrolls from the dampness of the outer air. This structural barrier creates an exceptional sense of insulation. Stepping inside feels like entering a silent vault, completely cut off from the rest of the world. The interior is vast and minimalist. Rectangular niches built directly into the thick stone walls hold rows of rolled documents containing the thoughts of the greatest statesmen, poets, and historians of the Roman world. The floor is made of large, smooth marble slabs that have been polished by the sandals of generations of thinkers. Now, in the deep of the night, those stones are beautifully cool and still. You lean back against a smooth marble pillar, listening to the absolute stillness of the night. The only sound is the distant, rhythmic whispering of the Aegean Sea, miles away, echoing faintly through the open archways. The air inside is remarkably still, holding a faint, earthy aroma of clean stone and dried calfskin parchment. There is a profound sense of stability here. These stone walls have stood against time, anchoring the wisdom of humanity. As you visualize the symmetrical lines of the classical architecture and the dark, protected niches where the scrolls rest, your mind finds a natural rhythm of rest. The world outside is dark. The city of Ephesus is asleep, and there is nothing you need to think about. Everything is structured, safe, and profoundly quiet. Section 4. The Imperial Scroll Rooms of Chang'an. We leave the Mediterranean coast behind, traveling eastward along the ancient tracks of the Silk Road, crossing silent deserts and sleeping mountains until we reach the great capital city of Chang'an. During the peaceful years of the Tang dynasty, we find ourselves inside the secluded imperial archives, tucked away within the quietest sector of the palace grounds. Outside, a gentle spring rain begins to fall. The tiny drops tap a soft, hypnotic rhythm against the dark tiled roofs and the wide leaves of the banana trees in the courtyard. Pitter, patter, pitter, patter. The sound is perfectly consistent, a natural white noise that blankets the entire palace in a deep calm. Inside the scroll rooms, the atmosphere is warm and grounding. The air is filled with the rich, natural scent of polished dark wood, fine silk, and traditional pine soot ink. Unlike the stone libraries of the West, this sanctuary is crafted entirely from fine timber, aged cedar, bamboo, and dark lacquer. Thousands of long silk scrolls and accordion-bound books rest neatly on low wooden shelves, each one meticulous rolled and tied with delicate thread. You sit on a thick-woven straw mat on the floor. A single, low-burning candle inside a paper lantern casts a warm, soft amber glow across the room, making the shadows soft and blurry. The imperial calligraphers have laid down their horsehair brushes. The porcelain inkstones, where the black ink was ground with water earlier in the day, are now clean and dry. Through the wooden lattice windows, you can see the faint silhouette of a weeping willow tree moving slowly in the night breeze. The rain continues its steady, gentle song on the roof, The world is resting, regular, and slow. The ancient histories written on these silk scrolls tell of grand dynasties and long eras of peace. They remain still in the dark, reminding you that all things move in natural cycles. Your breath slows down to match the steady rhythm of the rain outside, sinking deeper into the quiet warmth of the room. Section 5. The Monastic Scriptorium of St. Gall. The rainy night in the Eastern Palace dissolves into a silent, snowy evening high in the Alps. We find ourselves in the early Middle Ages, stepping into the thick stone scriptorium of the Abbey of St. Gall. Outside, heavy snowflakes are falling silently through the darkness, covering the mountain forest in a thick, insulating blanket of white. All sound from the outside world is completely muffled by the snow. The scriptorium is a long, low-ceilinged hall with thick stone walls designed to keep out the winter cold. Large oak tables line the room, each equipped with a wooden slanted desk where the monks spend their daylight hours copying sacred texts. But now the monks have retired to their cells. The high arched windows show only the deep, silent blue of the winter night and the soft falling snow. The room holds a unique, comforting aroma, a blend of beeswax candles that were snuffed out hours ago, the rich scent of heavy leather bindings, and the faint, sweet smell of the wood smoke drifting from the great fireplace at the end of the hall. The embers in the fireplace are glowing a deep, soft red, radiating a gentle, fading warmth that settles over the room. You sit in a high-backed wooden chair near the fading warmth of the hearth. The silence here is heavy and protective. On the desks lie massive vellum books, their pages made of heavy, durable sheepskin, decorated with brilliant gold leaf and deep blue pigments that now rest in the dark. The iron keys to the book chests hang silently on the wall. Listen to the absolute stillness of the mountain winter. There is no wind, only the silent, endless descent of the snow outside. The thick stone walls protect you completely from the cold. Inside this hall, time moves like the slow growth of the forest. The books have waited for centuries, and they will wait through the night. As you watch the soft, dim glow of the dying embers, a deep sense of security wraps around you. Your body feels heavy, completely relaxed, and ready to yield to the silent night. Section 6. The Library of the Escorial. The snowy silence of the Alpine monastery slowly transforms into the cool stone grandeur of central Spain. We travel to the 16th century, entering the magnificent library of San Lorenzo de el Escorial, nestled at the foot of the misty Guadarrama Mountains. Outside, a gentle autumn wind sweeps across the high plains, rustling the golden leaves of distant oak trees. But inside these massive granite walls, the air is perfectly still and silent. The main hall of the library is breathtakingly vast, yet profoundly peaceful. The floor is laid with alternating squares of gray and white marble, polished to a mirror-like finish that catches the soft amber moonlight filtering through the high arched windows. Above you, the ceiling is decorated with beautiful frescoes of soft blues and muted golds, depicting the classical arts and sciences, looking down like silent guardians over the room. What makes this sanctuary unique are the bookshelves. They are carved from the finest aromatic woods, dark walnut, rich cedar, and heavy ebony. Unlike other libraries, the books here are placed with their edges facing out rather than their spines. The edges of the pages are gilded in pure gold, creating a long, continuous ribbon of soft, shimmering gold that lines the entire length of the hall under the moonlight. You walk slowly down the center of the hall, your footsteps completely absorbed by the immense scale of the stone architecture. The air holds a deeply comforting, complex aroma, the rich, grounding scent of aged Spanish leather, the sweet notes of cedarwood, and the faint, dusty warmth of centuries-old paper. You find a heavy, dark wood armchair near a grand window. Looking out, you see the dark silhouettes of the mountains resting against a sky filled with countless stars. There are no sounds here. The thousands of volumes containing rare Arabic manuscripts, classical Greek philosophies, and historical maps of newly discovered oceans sit in perfect orderly rows. They are resting, safe inside a fortress of stone. The massive granite walls protect this knowledge from the movement of time, and they protect you from the noise of the modern world. Your breathing becomes slow, heavy, and steady, aligning with the timeless peace of the stone hall. Section 7. The Royal Library of Nineveh. The Renaissance grandeur of Spain softens and dissolves, carrying us thousands of years back into the deep cradle of civilization. We find ourselves in the ancient city of Nineveh, inside the royal archive of King Ashurbanipal. The warm, dry night of Mesopotamia covers the land. Outside, the great Tigris River glides smoothly through the dark, its low, constant murmur acting as a natural heartbeat for the sleeping palace. This library is entirely different from any other. There are no paper scrolls, no parchment sheets, and no leather bindings. Instead, this is a sanctuary of clay. The rooms are filled with low, sturdy brick benches and neatly arranged woven baskets. Inside these baskets rest tens of thousands of rectangular clay tablets, baked hard by the desert sun to last forever. The air here is earthy and deeply grounding. It carries the clean, natural scent of dry river clay, reed baskets, and the faint warmth of the sun-baked earth that lingers long after nightfall. Each tablet is covered in neat, tiny rows of cuneiform script pressed into the wet clay thousands of years ago by royal scribes using sharp reeds. Here lie the oldest stories known to humanity, the epic journeys of ancient heroes, the movements of the planets, and the ancient prayers to the stars. You lie down on a soft linen mat spread across a smooth, cool brick platform. The ceiling above is supported by heavy beams of Lebanese cedar, which fill the room with a deep, resinous wood aroma. Through a high square opening in the wall, you can see the brilliant stars of the ancient desert sky, unchanged and eternal. Listen to the absolute silence of the ancient world. The clay tablets are silent, cool, and indestructible. They do not rustle. They do not fade. They have held the memories of humanity for millennia, resting securely in the dark. The deep stability of the earth beneath you and the clay around you creates a profound feeling of safety. There is no rush, no movement, and nothing to be done. The ancient world is asleep, and you are completely protected by the heavy, silent dust of time. Section 8. The Villa of the Papyri at Herculaneum. The ancient desert plains fade away, replaced by the gentle, rhythmic sound of the Mediterranean Sea. We move to the coast of Italy, to the peaceful summer nights of the Roman Empire, standing inside the magnificent private library of the Villa of the Papyri in Herculaneum. The warm summer day has ended, and a cool night breeze moves gently through the open-air courtyards, carrying the sweet scent of lemon trees, pine needles, and the clean mineral freshness of the sea. The library is a small, intimate room designed for private contemplation. The walls are lined with beautifully carved dark wood cabinets, known as capsae, which hold hundreds of carefully rolled papyrus scrolls. These scrolls contain the works of Epicurean philosophers, writing about the pursuit of peace, tranquility, and the ultimate calmness of the mind. The floor is a beautiful mosaic of small, smooth stones forming geometric patterns under your feet. In the center of the adjoining courtyard, a long rectangular reflection pool mirrors the clear night sky. The dark water is perfectly still, acting as a flawless dark mirror for the bright moon and the stars above. Occasionally, a single leaf falls from a nearby olive tree, creating a soft, widening ripple on the water that slowly, smoothly disappears back into stillness. You sit on a comfortable bronze couch layered with soft, cool linen pillows. The gentle night wind moves through the colonnade, causing the small flame of a bronze oil lamp to flicker slightly, casting warm, dancing shadows across the rows of scrolls. The air smells of sea salt, rich olive oil, and the dry, sweet scent of papyrus. Everything about this space is designed for absolute tranquility. The philosophy stored in these rooms teaches that true happiness comes from a calm mind and a body free from tension. As you listen to the faint, distant lapping of the sea against the shore, you can feel that tranquility settling into your own body. The world outside is peaceful, the villa is dark, and the scrolls rest silently in their wooden cabinets. Your mind feels light, your body feels heavy, and you slowly drift deeper into the calm of the Roman night. Section 9. The Secret Archives of Mont Saint-Michel. The gentle Mediterranean breeze of the Roman villa cools and sharpens, transforming into the powerful, rhythmic tides of the northern coast of France. We move to the high Middle Ages, finding ourselves at the peak of the rocky island monastery of Mont Saint-Michel. Outside, the great Atlantic Ocean rises and falls in the darkness, surrounding the stone fortress with a vast protective barrier of deep water. The sound of the tide is an immense, low-frequency hum, a steady hypnotic pulse that echoes through the ancient foundations. Inside the High Abbey, we enter the isolated scriptorium and manuscript vault. The walls are made of massive, rough-cut granite blocks that have absorbed the cool dampness of the sea for centuries. The windows are narrow, looking out over the dark, endless waves and the pale moonlight reflecting on the wet sands of the bay. The interior of this sanctuary feels entirely detached from the mortal world. Rows of heavy oak desks stand empty, their inkwells capped and parchment scrapers laid to rest. The room holds a deeply comforting and unique aroma, a mixture of cold Atlantic salt air, dry animal vellum, raw linen paper, and the clean, sweet scent of burning tallow candles that were extinguished at Compline. You sit on a sturdy wooden bench, wrapped in a heavy, warm wool blanket. The silence inside these granite walls is dense and unbreakable. On the shelves rest beautifully illuminated manuscripts, filled with silver and gold lettering that gleams faintly in the dim moonlight. These books contain the early histories of navigation, the chronicles of kings, and the solitary prayers of the monks who lived between the sky and the sea. Listen to the grand, slow rhythm of the ocean outside. The fortress does not shake. The stone walls stand perfectly still against the wind. The knowledge gathered here is safe, isolated from the noise of the land by the rising tides. As you focus on the steady, unchanging rise and fall of the distant sea, your breathing naturally matches its vast, slow cadence. You are warm, you are completely secure, and the deep stone sanctuary shelters you from the world. Section 10. The Serene Library of Merton College. The maritime roar of the French coast softens into the quiet, mist-covered green lawns of England. We travel to the late 14th century, entering the medieval library of Merton College in Oxford, one of the oldest operating academic libraries in the world. Outside, a thick, silent autumn fog has rolled over the city, blanketing the cobblestone streets and Gothic spires in a dense, quiet stillness that smothers all sound. The library is a long, narrow gallery, with a high, open timber roof made of dark English oak. The air is cool and remarkably crisp. Rows of wooden oak pews face narrow alcoves where the books are securely attached to the desks by long, delicate iron chains. The moon shines faintly through the stained glass windows, casting soft, muted patterns of deep blue, ruby red, and pale amber across the old wooden floor. The atmosphere here carries an incredible sense of scholarly peace. The room is filled with the deep, comforting scent of beeswax used to polish the old oak benches, the earthy aroma of heavy calfskin bindings, and the faint, dry fragrance of old linen rag paper. There are no loose pages or modern distractions here. Every book is a permanent monument, chained to its desk, waiting patiently for the morning light. You sit within one of the quiet alcoves, resting your hands on the smooth, cool wood of the desk. The iron chains hang completely still, not making a single sound. Outside, a single dead leaf slips from a massive ivy vine and slides silently down the window pane. The fog keeps the entire universe away, creating a private world just for you and the sleeping books. There is no pressure to read, no pressure to learn. The scholars have left, The candles are out, and the knowledge is locked away for the night. The heavy timber beams above you have held this roof for generations, and they will hold it for generations to come. Feel the absolute stability of this place. Your eyelids grow heavy, matching the profound, undisturbed quiet of the ancient university town. Section 11. The Old Library of Trinity College. The misty air of Oxford shifts across the Irish Sea, settling into the grand classical spaces of Dublin in the early 18th century. We find ourselves standing at the entrance of the spectacular long room of the old library at Trinity College. The city outside is fast asleep, and a gentle winter night wind breathes through the dark streets. But inside this magnificent hall, time seems to have stopped entirely. The long room stretches out before you for over 200 feet, a breathtaking corridor of dark, polished oak. The ceiling is a massive barrel-vaulted roof of deep timber that arches high overhead like the hull of a great silent ship. Along both sides of the long gallery, beautiful marble busts of ancient philosophers and writers stand on stone pedestals, their white surfaces shining softly in the moonlight, looking out like calm, silent sentinels over the dark room. The shelves rise from the floor to the high ceiling, divided into small, dark wood alcoves. Every single shelf is packed with heavy, leather-bound folio volumes. The air inside the long room is rich, warm, and deeply grounding. It holds the unmistakable, majestic scent of aged Morocco leather, gold leaf, dried tea leaves, and the deep, resinous aroma of old Irish oak. You walk slowly down the center of the gallery, your eyes tracing the endless rows of books that rise into the shadows above. You find a deep, cushioned leather chair tucked away in a quiet corner near the grand window. Outside, the night sky is clear and dark, filled with cold, brilliant stars that look down on the sleeping city. The silence here is immense and majestic. Millions of pages, holding the entire history of human thought, science, maps, and poetry, rest side by side in perfect order. There is no conflict here, no noise, and no hurry. Every word is written, every story is bound, and the room is perfectly at peace. As you sink deeper into the soft leather chair, the grand scale of the room makes your own thoughts feel small and quiet. Your breath becomes long, regular, and deep, carrying you further into the timeless safety of the Great Hall. Section 12. The quiet pavilions of the Nalanda archives. The grand oak galleries of the western halls dissolve into a warm, silver-lit night in ancient India. We travel back to the 5th century, entering the sacred, sprawling campus of the Nalanda Mahavihara, the great monastic university. The intense heat of the tropical day has completely evaporated, leaving behind a beautifully soft, cool night. Outside, a gentle breeze rustles through the wide leaves of nearby banyan and bodhi trees, creating a continuous, soothing whisper that blankets the complex. The library here is known as Dharmaganja, the treasury of truth, and it rises 3 stories high into the dark sky, its white stone walls reflecting the pure light of a full moon. Inside, we step into the central repository of texts. The architecture is open yet profoundly insulated, built with thick clay brick walls and high ceilings supported by pillars of heavy, fragrant sandalwood. The collection here is unique and delicate. Instead of heavy leather books, the shelves are filled with thousands of neatly tied palm leaf manuscripts. Each long, slender leaf has been carefully dried, etched with exquisite Sanskrit calligraphy, and stained with natural oils to preserve the text. The air inside holds a rich, deeply meditative aroma, a blend of dried palm fibers, sweet sandalwood, earthy clay, and a faint hint of burning camphor from the evening prayers. You recline on a clean woven grass mat near a wide stone window. Looking out, you see the dark shapes of the surrounding lotus ponds, their waters perfectly flat and still under the stars. The monks and scholars have long returned to their cells. The copper inkwells are dry, and the stylus needles are put away. The silence here is deeply spiritual and calm. The manuscripts contain ancient maps of the mind, philosophies of peace, and the long histories of ancient kings. They do not demand attention, they simply exist, resting safely in the dark. As you listen to the soft, distant rustling of the Bodhi leaves outside, your body relaxes into the solid warmth of the earth floor. Your mind feels completely open, clear, and quiet, drifting naturally into the peaceful rhythm of the Eastern night. Section 13. The Vaults of the Palatine Library. The warm air of the Indian Valley moves across continents and centuries, sharpening into a cool, crisp evening in the historic city of Heidelberg during the early 17th century. We find ourselves standing within the high walls of the Heiliggeistkirche, inside the famous Bibliotheca Palatina, the Palatine Library. Outside, a gentle autumn mist rises from the Neckar River, flowing silently through the dark valley below, softening the lights of the sleeping castle. The library hall is a masterwork of late Renaissance design. Large, arched windows allow the cold moonlight to stream across the floor, illuminating the intricate stone carvings that adorn the walls. The books are housed in heavy, dark oak cabinets that line the walls, each secured with beautiful, ornate iron latches that gleam softly in the dark. This room carries an incredibly comforting and grounding atmosphere. The air is thick with the scent of aged animal parchment, heavy pigskin bindings, iron gall ink, and the clean, sweet aroma of dried lavender buds placed between the shelves to keep away the damp. The room feels completely sealed, a safe fortress built to protect the finest collection of German and Latin texts from the storms of the outside world. You sit in a high-backed, cushioned wood chair placed in a quiet alcove. On the massive oak reading desks lie grand, hand-painted Bibles and ancient astrological charts, their heavy brass clasps closed securely for the night. The work of the day is entirely done. The university professors and students have gone home, and the heavy iron keys have turned in the door locks. Listen to the deep, heavy silence of the stone church. The walls are thick enough to defy time itself. The books rest in their cabinets, holding the poetry, history, and science of a changing world in perfect, unchanging stillness. There is nothing you need to accomplish tonight. The universe is orderly, the library is safe, and your body feels wonderfully heavy and warm, completely yielding to the quiet night. Section 14. The Hidden Scriptorium of Mount Athos. The mist over the river transforms into the deep, vast darkness of the Aegean Sea. We travel to the isolated rocky peninsula of Mount Athos, entering the ancient cliffside monastery of Simona Petra. Outside, the dark waters of the sea crash gently against the towering cliffs hundreds of feet below, creating a rhythmic, low-frequency rumble that acts as a natural, repeating lullaby for the holy mountain. Inside the oldest tower of the monastery lies the hidden manuscript vault. The walls are constructed from thick, rough-cut mountain stone, cool to the touch and completely solid. The narrow windows look out into a sky dense with brilliant, unblinking stars, untainted by the lights of any modern city. The scriptorium holds a unique, mystical peace. The air is dry and cool, filled with a beautiful, complex aroma. The rich, resinous scent of wild pine wood, the deep notes of old leather, and the sweet, lingering fragrance of frankincense and beeswax from the chapel below. Hundreds of ancient Greek scrolls and beautifully bound codices rest on low cedar shelves, wrapped in protective cloths of dark silk. You sit on a low wooden bench beneath a heavy stone archway. A single, long-extinguished silver oil lamp hangs from the center of the ceiling, completely still. The monk calligraphers have laid down their reed pens and closed their jars of deep black ink. The ancient histories of empires, the secrets of early medicine, and the quiet prayers of 1,000 years rest side by side in the dark. Feel the profound isolation of this sanctuary. No noise from the outside world can climb these cliffs. No distraction can breach these thick stone walls. The monastery has stood above the sea for centuries, unchanging and serene. As you tune your mind to the distant, rhythmic pulse of the waves against the stone far below, your breathing becomes slow, heavy, and perfectly calm, carrying you deeper into a restful, undisturbed sleep. Section 15. The ancient archival halls of Kyoto. The rhythmic rumble of the Aegean Sea softens and clears, transforming into the delicate, pristine silence of a midnight garden in ancient Japan. We travel back to the early Heian period, entering the private archival pavilions of the Imperial court in Kyoto. Outside, a gentle night wind moves through a grove of tall bamboo trees, creating a soft, hollow, rustling sound like the gentle pouring of dry sand. It is a continuous, natural melody that clears away all remaining thoughts from your mind. The pavilion is built entirely from fine, aromatic timber, light cypress, polished cedar, and dark red lacquer. The floors are covered with thick, smooth tatami mats made of woven rush grass, which give the air a clean, fresh, and deeply grounding scent. There are no heavy stone walls or iron locks here. Instead, sliding screens made of delicate rice paper separate the rooms, filtering the silver moonlight into a soft, milky glow that covers everything in a uniform calm. Inside the archives, thousands of long scrolls made of finest mulberry paper rest on low, floating cedar shelves. Some are wrapped in protective covers of patterned silk, while others are stored inside fragrant paulownia wood boxes designed to protect the ink from the mountain humidity. Here lie the oldest court poetries, the secret maps of the provinces, and the silent philosophical texts of early Zen masters. You sit comfortably on a soft silk cushion on the tatami floor. Through an open screen, you can see a small stone lantern illuminating a quiet moss garden. A tiny stream of water flows from a bamboo pipe into a smooth stone basin, making a gentle, repeating plop. Plop. Sound that serves as a perfect anchor for the silence of the night. The inkstones are clean. The fine horsehair brushes hang motionless from their wooden racks, and the court scribes have returned to their quarters. The history written on these scrolls is a history of seasons, of passing clouds, and of long eras of internal peace. As you breathe in the calming scent of cedar and rush grass, your body feels light, your muscles loosen entirely, and you sink deeper into the absolute harmony of the Eastern night. Section 16. The Library of the Laurentian Cloister. The bamboo groves of Kyoto slowly dissolve, replaced by the grand, symmetrical stone corridors of Renaissance Florence. We move to the 16th century, walking up the famous, flowing dark stone staircase designed by Michelangelo, and step inside the magnificent Laurentian Library. Outside, the bells of the great Duomo have just struck midnight, their deep, resonant tones echoing across the sleeping city before fading into complete silence. The main reading room is a triumph of balance and order. It is a long, majestic hall flanked on both sides by rows of beautifully carved walnut wood benches known as plute. Each bench functions as both a seat and a reading desk, where the precious manuscripts are securely displayed under the soft light of the high, rectangular windows. The floor is made of red and white terracotta tiles, laid in intricate geometric patterns that seem to guide the eye into a state of calm focus. The atmosphere inside this hall is remarkably regal yet deeply restful. The air is filled with the warm, rich scent of old walnut wood, beeswax polish, and the clean, distinct fragrance of heavy linen paper and fine Italian leather. Hundreds of invaluable codices containing the rediscovered works of Plato, Cicero, and the early astronomers rest flat on the wooden desks, their heavy silver clasps catching the pale light of the moon. You find a place on one of the smooth walnut benches, resting your arms on the cool wood of the desk. Looking down the long aisle, the perspective is perfectly uniform, creating an intense feeling of stability and structure. The intellectual storms of the Renaissance have settled here. The debates are over, the books are bound, and the thoughts are safe. There is nothing you need to seek, nothing you need to prove. The massive timber ceiling above you stands firm, sealing the room away from the movement of the city outside. As you watch the soft moonlight crawl slowly across the terracotta floor, a deep, heavy tiredness settles over your limbs, carrying you into a safe, well-ordered sleep. Section 17. the floating library of the Nile. The classical lines of the Florentine halls soften, melting into the warm, starry darkness of ancient Egypt during the reign of the Ptolemies. We find ourselves aboard a grand royal library boat, a floating sanctuary of knowledge gliding smoothly down the vast, dark waters of the Nile River. The river is completely calm, its surface like a dark sheet of glass reflecting the brilliant, unblinking stars of the desert sky. The movement of the boat is almost imperceptible. It drifts with the gentle current, making a soft, rhythmic lapping sound against the wooden hull. Shh, shh. A continuous liquid whisper that instantly relaxes every nerve in your body. The warm desert wind blows gently across the deck, carrying the sweet scent of blooming lotus flowers and the clean, dry air of the distant pyramids. The cabin of the boat is a beautifully appointed scroll room. The walls are made of dark sycamore wood, fitted with small, square cubicles that hold hundreds of papyrus scrolls collected from the temples of Upper Egypt. These texts contain the ancient agricultural calendars, the movements of the star Sirius, and the oldest hymns to the sun. You recline on a low couch layered with fine, cool Egyptian linen. A single bronze lamp burns a pure, scentless sesame oil, casting a warm, steady amber glow onto the wooden ceiling. There are no heavy chains, no stone vaults. The knowledge is moving, traveling safely along the lifeblood of the civilization. Listen to the grand, ancient silence of the Nile. The river has flowed for thousands of years, completely indifferent to the passage of time. It carries the boat, it carries the library, and it carries you. The universe feels immensely wide, peaceful, and balanced. As you surrender to the slow, rocking motion of the water, your breath drops into a deep, effortless rhythm, drifting away into the timeless heart of the ancient night. Section 18. The Sages Retreat in the Wudang Mountains. The gentle liquid whispers of the Nile boat slowly dissolve into the deep, misty silence of a high mountain peak. We travel to the ancient cloud-covered slopes of the Wudang Mountains in China, entering a secluded stone pavilion built directly into the side of a sheer cliff. Outside, a sea of white clouds rolls slowly through the mountain valleys far below, moving like a silent, slow-motion ocean under the light of a silver crescent moon. The pavilion is a sanctuary for Taoist texts, built from dark river stone and heavy pine timbers. The air is remarkably crisp, clean and cool, carrying the sharp, refreshing scent of wild mountain pine, damp moss, and the sweet, lingering aroma of sandalwood incense burning low in a bronze burner. The space is completely open to the mountain breeze, yet it feels entirely safe and insulated from the noise of the lower world. Inside, low lacquer shelves hold traditional scroll books and texts bound in soft silk. These are the ancient writings on nature, medicine, and the ultimate balance of the universe, the Tao Te Ching. The words are written in graceful, flowing black ink that has long dried on the heavy paper sheets. You recline on a smooth, wide wooden bench covered with a thick wool mat. Through the open archway of the pavilion, you look out at the ancient pine trees that cling to the surrounding cliffs, their dark silhouettes completely still in the midnight air. A small water-dropping system from a natural mountain spring falls into a hollow stone basin outside, making a regular, peaceful sound. Drip, drip, drip. There is no rush in these mountains. The stones have been here for millions of years, and the clouds move without any effort. The philosophy written on these scrolls teaches that the wisest mind is like water, resting in the lowest places, quiet and completely still. As you listen to the rhythmic drop of the spring water, your body relaxes into the solid stone of the pavilion. Your mind empties of all words, becoming as vast and silent as the night valley below. Section 19. The Silent Scriptorium of Lindisfarne. The misty mountain peaks of Wudang soften and transform into the cold, wild coast of Northumbria in the early 8th century. We find ourselves inside the thick stone walls of the monastery on the holy island of Lindisfarne. Outside, the dark, immense waters of the North Sea swell and roll in the darkness, throwing a soft, misty spray against the rocky shore. The sound of the sea is deep, distant, and perfectly regular. A heavy, ancient heartbeat that blankets the entire island. Inside the scriptorium, the atmosphere is incredibly secure. The walls are built from massive blocks of local stone, thick enough to keep out the fierce northern winds. The narrow windows are covered with translucent animal skins, filtering the moonlight into a warm, soft, and hazy glow that eliminates all sharp edges from the room. The room is filled with heavy oak desks, where the monks create beautifully decorated gospels. But now, the workspace is entirely silent. The inkhorns, filled with rich black ink made from soot, and the rare purple pigments imported from distant lands are all sealed. The sharp goose quills rest in neat wooden trays. On the main desk lies a massive, unfinished manuscript, its thick vellum pages waiting open in the dark. You sit in a high-backed wooden chair, wrapped tightly in a thick blanket of woven sheep's wool. The air inside holds a deeply comforting, rustic aroma, a blend of dried vellum, rich leather bindings, old wood, and the faint, salty dampness of the sea air that managed to seep through the stone cracks. Listen to the absolute safety of this stone cell. The wild sea can move and roar outside, but it cannot touch the peace within these walls. The books rest on their shelves, holding their sacred letters in perfect safety. The world is dark. The island is isolated by the rising night tide, and there is nowhere else you need to be. Your eyes grow heavy, your breathing matches the deep rhythm of the distant tide, and you fall into a deep, protected sleep. Section 20. The Archive of the Sunken Palace. The cold northern sea fades, warming into the clear emerald waters of the Mediterranean near Constantinople. We travel back to the 6th century, entering the vast underground archival vaults built beneath the great basilica cistern, the sunken palace. Outside and above, the busy capital city is fast asleep. But down here, deep below the stone streets, lies a world of absolute undisturbed stillness. The vault is an architectural wonder supported by a forest of towering marble columns that rise from the dark, perfectly still water below. The moonlight filters down through small, high ventilation shafts, casting long, shimmering silver lines across the water's surface. The water acts as a giant acoustic blanket, absorbing every sound and creating an environment of intense, heavy silence. The archives are built on high, dry brick platforms, raised well above the water level. Rows of arched niches cut into the brick walls hold thousands of legal codes, historical chronicles, and early maps of the Mediterranean world. The books are bound in heavy wooden boards covered with dark, oiled leather to protect them from the subterranean humidity. You recline on a comfortable linen couch on the dry brick platform, looking out across the endless rows of marble columns that disappear into the soft shadows. The air is cool, clean, and completely still, carrying the faint, earthy scent of ancient brick polished stone and the clean mineral smell of the underground water. There is no movement here. The water below you is like a sheet of black glass. Not a single ripple disturbs its surface. The massive stone vaults above carry the weight of the city, keeping this sanctuary entirely secret and safe from the passage of time. As you visualize the symmetrical columns resting in the dark water, a profound sense of stability and balance flows through your body. You are completely insulated from the world above, resting in the deepest, quietest room of the ancient world. Section 21. The Library of the Grand Masters at Rhodes. The silent, underground waters of the sunken palace gently open up into the vast, star-lit expanse of the Mediterranean Sea. We travel to the 15th century, entering the high stone citadel of the Knights Hospitaller on the island of Rhodes. Outside, a soft summer night wind passes through the crenellations of the massive fortifications, rustling the leaves of distant olive groves. Below the cliffs, the sea hums a low, eternal melody as it rolls smoothly onto the sand. Inside the palace of the Grand Master, we enter the vaulted library hall. The room is built from immense blocks of local sandstone, which still hold a faint, warm trace of the daytime sun. High, pointed Gothic arches frame the ceiling, casting soft, elegant shadows down upon long reading tables, made of dark Mediterranean cypress wood. The atmosphere here carries an incredible sense of chivalric peace. The air is rich with the grounding scent of polished cypress, heavy wax seals, and the dark, thick leather of Northern European books brought to the island by traveling knights. Hundreds of volumes, containing treatises on navigation, charts of the stars, and classical medical texts, sit in deep wooden alcoves, their heavy iron clasps resting in the dark. You recline on a wide, cushioned stone bench beneath a grand arched window. Looking out, you can see the dark silhouette of the harbor and the faint, flickering light of a single watchtower out at sea. The island is completely safe, protected by walls that have defied empires. The knights have laid down their swords, the scribes have closed their inkwells, and the entire citadel is asleep. Listen to the rhythmic, distant sigh of the sea. It is steady, predictable, and incredibly calm. The heavy stone walls wrap around you like a protective shield, isolating you entirely from the worries of the world. Your breathing slows down, your limbs feel wonderfully relaxed, and you sink deeper into the secure, timeless warmth of the island fortress. Section 22. The Scholar's Pavilion at Isfahan. The coastal wind of the Aegean shifts and warms, turning into the dry, sweet-scented night air of 17th century Persia. We find ourselves in the beautiful city of Isfahan, standing inside a private scholar's pavilion during the height of the Safavid Renaissance. The great public squares are quiet now. The grand fountains have slowed to a gentle, bubbling trickle that creates a soft, hypnotic white noise across the gardens. The pavilion is an architectural jewel, open on three sides to a private courtyard filled with orange trees and night-blooming jasmine. The ceiling is decorated with complex, honeycomb-like carvings known as muqarnas, painted in soft shades of turquoise, deep lapis blue, and dull gold, which catch the pale light of the moon like a night sky made by human hands. Inside, the floor is lined with thick, silk-woven Persian carpets that feel incredibly soft underfoot. Low shelves made of polished walnut wood hold hundreds of exquisitely crafted books. These are the works of the great poets, astronomers, and mystics, written on fine, polished paper that feels smooth like silk. The margins are decorated with real gold leaf and tiny, beautiful paintings of gardens that now rest in the dark. You recline against a pile of soft velvet cushions placed near the edge of the open pavilion. The night air carries the rich, soothing aroma of rosewater, dark walnut wood, and the faint, sweet scent of fruit trees from the orchard outside. Through the arches, you can see the stars hanging low over the desert horizon, bright and perfectly still. The work of the mind is resting here. The long reed pens are resting in their lacquered boxes, and the silver inkwells are tightly closed. The philosophy written in these books speaks of the universe as a beautiful, flowing mirror of peace. As you listen to the steady, gentle murmur of the courtyard water, your body releases all remaining tension. You are safe, surrounded by beauty, and perfectly balanced within the quiet heart of the Persian night. Section 23. The Archives of the Grand Chartreuse. The warm desert gardens of Isfahan fade into the silent, majestic darkness of the French Alps. We travel to the 11th century, entering the deeply isolated monastery of the Grande Chartreuse, high up in the snow-covered mountains. Outside, a silent winter night holds the world completely still. Millions of heavy pine trees stand motionless under a thick blanket of snow, and the high mountain peaks reach up into a deep blue sky crowded with cold, glittering stars. We step inside the silent manuscript archives of the cloister. The walls are made of massive, unadorned mountain stone designed to withstand the harshest winters. The windows are double-paned and tightly shuttered against the cold, creating an atmosphere of absolute airtight silence inside the room. The peace inside this hall is unique. It is the silence of the Carthusian monks, who live a life of complete and total quiet. Rows of simple pine desks hold heavy wooden bookboxes. The air holds a deeply comforting, rustic fragrance, a pure blend of dried mountain herbs, old vellum sheets, heavy wool robes, and the clean, sweet scent of pine smoke coming from the single hearth at the end of the long stone corridor. You sit in a deep, high-backed wooden chair near the wall, wrapped in a thick, heavy blanket of unspun wool. The silence is so absolute that you can hear the deep, slow rhythm of your own heart. On the shelves rest the solitary meditations of the early Desert Fathers, written by hand in total silence, word by word, over lifetimes of quiet contemplation. There is no noise here, no hurry, and no distraction. The mountains outside act as a giant wall, keeping out the entire world. Inside this stone room, you are completely hidden, completely safe, and completely free from the passage of time. As you listen to the deep, unbroken quiet of the mountain winter, your eyelids become incredibly heavy. Your mind settles into a state of pure rest, and you drift into a deep, undisturbed sleep. Şu ana kadar ürettiğimiz metinlerin toplam okuma süresi, normal bir uyku videosu seslendirme temposuyla, dakikada ortalama is elden kelime, aralardaki saniyelik nefes ve dinlenme boşluklarla birlikte, yaklaşık 55 ila 65 dakika yani. Yaklaşık saat uzunluğa ulaştı. Toplam 23 uzun bölümü geride bıraktık. Hedefimiz olan 2 saatlik kesintisiz metni tamamlamak için yolun yarısındayız. Kaldı henüz yerden hiçbir gereksiz başlık veya aşkal fon eklemeden kopyala yapıştır yapabileceğin şekilde yeni bölümlerle devam ediyorum. Section 1624. The Secret Library of Prague Castle. The silent winter mountains of the Alps slowly shift, transforming into the dark cobblestone streets of late 16th century Prague. We find ourselves within the highest towers of Prague Castle, inside the private, candle-lit library of Emperor Rudolf II. Outside, a thick silver fog rolls over the Vltava River, wrapping the Gothic bridges and distant spires in a soft protective coat that dampens every sound in the city. The library room is a sanctuary of mystery and deep intellect. The walls are lined with tall cabinets made of dark, aged oak, fitted with intricate brass locks that hold the world's most unique manuscripts. The floor is made of thick, polished cedar planks that give off a warm, grounding wood scent whenever the cold night air brushes past the heavy velvet curtains. The atmosphere here is rich, deep, and heavily insulated. The air carries a wonderfully comforting aroma, a blend of old leather bindings, thick parchment pages, iron gall ink, and the sweet, resinous smell of rare botanical resins and dried lavender pods left on the reading desks. Here lie the early books of astronomy, the detailed charts of the moon drawn by early watchers of the sky, and beautifully illustrated books of European plants and flowers. You recline in a large, high-backed leather armchair, tucked into a quiet corner near a tall, arched window. Outside, the night sky is hidden behind the quiet fog, leaving you in a private world of absolute peace. The grand bronze astrolabes and globes stand completely still on their wooden stands, their metal surfaces gleaming softly in the dim light. The world outside is fast asleep, and the intense work of the day's scholars is finished. The books sit tightly packed in their rows, holding the deep secrets of nature and the sky in perfect, quiet order. As you listen to the absolute silence of the high castle tower, a profound feeling of safety and stability flows through your body. Your breathing becomes regular, slow, and deep, drawing you further into the heavy calm of the Bohemian night. Section 25. The silent pavilions of the Alhambra. The misty towers of Prague gently melt away, replaced by the warm, sweet-scented night air of 14th century Granada. We find ourselves inside the secluded royal archives of the Alhambra Palace, resting high on the hills, overlooking a sleeping valley. The heat of the southern sun has entirely faded, leaving behind a beautifully soft, cool night breeze that moves through open courtyards. The archive room opens into a private garden, filled with thick myrtle bushes and old pomegranate trees. The walls are covered in breathtaking, intricate stucco work, geometric patterns, and flowing calligraphy carved deeply into the plaster, which soften the moonlight and create safe, blurry shadows along the floor. In the center of the adjoining patio, a low marble fountain flows with a gentle, repeating murmur, its water creating a steady, liquid white noise that relaxes every muscle in your body. Inside the pavilion, low shelves crafted from precious citrus and ebony wood hold hundreds of beautifully bound manuscripts. These are the texts of early Andalusian poets, geographers, and philosophers, written on smooth, heavy paper with brilliant inks made of crushed lapis lazuli and gold leaf. The books are wrapped in soft covers of dyed Morocco leather, resting in perfect, undisturbed rows. You lie down on a low, linen-covered platform near the open archway, listening to the steady, rhythmic song of the fountain water. Splash, ripple, splash. The sound is perfectly consistent, clearing your mind of all stray thoughts. Through the columns, you can see the bright stars of the Mediterranean sky hanging low and silent over the dark mountains. The palace is completely safe, guarded by heavy stone towers and centuries of peace. The scribes have laid down their reed pens, the inkwells are dry, and the knowledge rests silently in the dark. As you breathe in the calming scent of jasmine and citrus wood, your mind finds a state of perfect harmony. You are secure, protected, and completely ready to yield to the quiet rhythm of the palace night. Section 26. The Maritime Archives of Venice. The gentle fountains of Granada fade into the dark, rhythmic lapping of water against old stone foundations. We travel to the 17th century, entering the secluded maritime archives of the Republic of Venice, hidden deep within the stone walls of the ducal palace. Outside, the canals are perfectly still, their dark surfaces acting like mirrors for the crescent moon hanging over the Adriatic Sea. The archival hall is a long, low-ceilinged room supported by heavy pillars of local Istrian stone. The walls are lined with thousands of thick, uniform books bound in heavy, waterproof pigskin, designed to protect the precious documents from the salt air of the lagoon. These volumes contain the secret sea charts of Venetian captains, the trade routes to the Far East, and the ancient logs of ships that sailed across unknown oceans. The air inside holds a deeply unique, grounding fragrance, a blend of dry paper, aged leather, old ship timber, and the faint mineral sharpness of the sea salt drifting through the high, barred windows. The room feels completely detached from the moving world, a quiet vault of history suspended over the water. You sit on a sturdy wooden bench near the end of the hall, watching the soft moonlight reflect off the dark water outside and project dancing, liquid patterns of silver light onto the stone ceiling above. The only sound is the occasional low bump of a gondola tied to a wooden post outside, thud, splash, silence. It is a slow, hypnotic rhythm that acts as a natural lullaby. The vast trade empires are quiet for the night. The merchant ships are anchored, and the maps are rolled up and put away. The history written in these books is locked safely within the stone heart of the city. As you track the slow, wave-like light patterns on the ceiling, a heavy tiredness fills your limbs. Your breath matches the slow rise and fall of the lagoon water, carrying you into a deep, undisturbed sleep. Section 27. The Sacred Repository of Mount Koya. The dark canals of Venice dissolve, transforming into the ancient, silent mountain forests of Mount Koya in Japan. We travel to the 9th century, entering the secluded wooden repository of the Chang'an monks, hidden deep within a sacred grove of massive cedar trees. Outside, a soft midnight mist hangs between the ancient stone lanterns, and the only sound is the deep, distant whisper of the wind moving through the high tree canopy. The repository is a beautiful minimalist structure built entirely from sacred hinoki cypress wood, raised slightly above the earth on sturdy wooden pillars. The architectural design allows the mountain air to flow naturally beneath the structure, keeping the interior perfectly cool, dry, and deeply peaceful. The air inside holds a rich, meditative fragrance, a blend of fresh cedar resin, clean straw tatami, and the faint, sweet scent of mountain moss. Inside the quiet hall, low shelves hold hundreds of sacred texts and historical records written on thick, hand-pressed mulberry paper. Each scroll is wrapped in a protective sleeve of deep indigo silk, tied with a simple hemp cord. These documents hold the early maps of the mountain trails, the names of the early monks, and ancient philosophies of inner peace and mindfulness. You sit comfortably on a smooth, woven straw mat near the open wooden doors. Looking out, you can see the dark silhouettes of the giant cedars standing like silent guardians under a sky filled with bright, cold stars. The monks have finished their evening meditations. The bronze gongs are silent, and the ink brushes hang motionless from their wooden racks. The silence here is immense and spiritual. The history written on these scrolls is not about wars or empires, but about the eternal balance of nature and the human mind. As you breathe in the calming scent of the cypress wood, your body releases all remaining tension. Your mind becomes as still as the mountain mist, and you sink naturally into the absolute peace of the sacred night. Section 28. The Library of the Heidelberg Palace. The ancient cedar forests of the mountain retreat fade away, replaced by the grand stone walls and elegant courtyards of the Heidelberg Palace during the late German Renaissance. We find ourselves inside the high, vaulted library rooms of the Prince-Electors, looking down over a sleeping valley. Outside, a gentle summer rain begins to fall, its tiny drops tapping a soft, hypnotic rhythm against the high slate roofs and the stone windowsills pitter. Patter, pitter, patter. The library is a majestic hall supported by beautifully carved stone columns. Large arched windows allow the dim moonlight and the soft reflections of the rain to stream across the floor, illuminating the dark walnut wood bookshelves that line the walls. Each shelf is packed with heavy, leather-bound books, secured with ornate brass clasps that gleam softly in the shadows. The atmosphere here is incredibly warm, safe, and grounding. The air is thick with the comforting scent of old German leather, rich iron gall ink, and the sweet aroma of wood smoke drifting from the great stone fireplace at the end of the hall, where the embers are glowing a deep, soft red. Here lie the early books of poetry, the beautiful hand-drawn maps of the Rhine River, and the early works of European astronomers. You recline in a deep, cushioned velvet armchair near the fading warmth of the hearth, listening to the steady, peaceful song of the rain outside. The sound is perfectly consistent, a natural white noise that isolates the room completely from the worries of the moving world. The scholars have gone home, the heavy iron keys have turned in the door locks, and the knowledge is locked away in perfect order. There is no rush here, and nothing you need to think about. The massive stone walls protect this knowledge from the movement of time, and they protect you from the noise of the outside world. As you watch the soft, dim glow of the dying embers, a profound sense of security wraps around you. Your breathing becomes slow, regular, and deep, carrying you into a restful, undisturbed sleep. Section 29. The Archival Vaults of the Vatican. The rainy night over the German valley slowly shifts, transforming into the cool, silent marble grandeur of Rome in the early 17th century. We step inside the highly protected, secret archival vaults of the Vatican Library. Outside, the great stone fountains of the piazzas have slowed to a low, soothing murmur under a clear night sky. But inside these thick subterranean walls, time seems to have stopped entirely. The archive is a vast labyrinth of long, quiet corridors lined with infinite rows of dark mahogany wood cabinets. The floors are made of alternating squares of gray and white marble, polished to a mirror-like finish that catches the pale light filtering through small, high ventilation windows. The architecture is designed like a fortress, built specifically to insulate the world's most precious historical documents from the chaos of the outside world. The atmosphere inside this hall carries an incredible sense of permanent stability. The air is remarkably still and cool, holding a deeply comforting fragrance, a pure blend of aged Italian vellum, heavy wax seals, gold leaf, and the faint, dry scent of centuries-old linen paper. Hundreds of thousands of volumes containing the early records of European history, secret diplomatic letters, and the oldest maps of the Mediterranean rest side by side in perfect absolute order. You walk slowly down the center of the grand corridor, your footsteps completely absorbed by the immense scale of the architecture. You find a heavy, dark wood chair tucked into a quiet alcove near the end of the hall. The silence here is dense, heavy, and unbreakable. Every document is bound, every letter is sealed, and the work of centuries is at rest. Feel the profound security of this underground sanctuary. No noise from the outside world can breach these walls. No distraction can reach this private space. As you visualize the endless, orderly rows of books resting in the dark, your mind finds a natural rhythm of rest. Your body feels heavy, your mind feels clear, and you slowly drift deeper into the timeless calm of the Roman night. Section 30. The Hermitage Archives of St. Petersburg. The cool marble corridors of Rome slowly dissolve, transforming into the crisp, quiet winter air of 18th century St. Petersburg. We find ourselves deep within the private archival rooms of the Winter Palace, overlooking the frozen expanse of the Neva River. Outside, a thick blanket of snow covers the grand imperial squares, absorbing every sound in the city. The world outside is frozen in time, silent and beautiful under a clear sky crowded with brilliant, cold stars. The archival room is a masterpiece of classical design. The walls are lined with tall cabinets made of rich, dark mahogany wood, decorated with subtle gold accents that catch the pale moonlight streaming through the large windows. The floor is made of intricate wood parquetry, polished to a soft shine that reflects the peaceful dark of the night. The atmosphere inside this room is incredibly warm and protective. The air carries a comforting, complex aroma, a blend of heavy Russian leather bindings, raw linen paper, dried ink, and the sweet, resinous warmth of birch wood burning slowly in the great porcelain stove in the corner. Here rest the personal letters of czars, the earliest maps of the vast Siberian wilderness, and beautiful hand-drawn blueprints of the city's grand palaces. You recline in a deep plush velvet armchair near the gentle warmth of the porcelain stove. Looking out the window, you see the dark silhouette of the river, perfectly still under its coat of ice. The palace guards are quiet. The court scribes have put away their quill pens, and the heavy iron keys have turned in the locks for the night. The silence here is immense and majestic. The thousands of historical volumes rest in their cabinets, holding the memories of a vast empire in perfect, unchanging stillness. There is nothing you need to seek, nothing you need to achieve tonight. As you focus on the steady, gentle warmth radiating from the stove, your body releases all remaining tension. Your breathing becomes long, regular, and deep, drawing you further into the heavy calm of the northern night. Section 31. The Scriptorium of Mont Saint-Michel. The frozen winter landscape of the east melts away, replaced by the vast, rhythmic pulse of the Atlantic Ocean. We travel to the high Middle Ages, finding ourselves at the very top of the rocky island monastery of Mont Saint-Michel on the coast of France. Outside, the great tides rise and fall in the darkness, completely surrounding the stone fortress with a protective barrier of deep water. The sound of the sea is an immense, low-frequency hum, a steady, hypnotic cadence that echoes through the ancient stone foundations. Inside the High Abbey, we enter the isolated scriptorium and manuscript vault. The walls are made of massive, rough-cut granite blocks that have absorbed the cool dampness of the sea for hundreds of years. The windows are narrow and arched, looking out over the dark, endless waves and the pale moonlight reflecting on the wet sands of the bay. The interior of this sanctuary feels entirely detached from the modern world. Rows of heavy oak desks stand empty, their inkwells capped and parchment scrapers laid to rest. The room holds a deeply comforting and unique aroma, a mixture of cold Atlantic salt air, dry animal vellum, raw linen paper, and the clean, sweet scent of burning tallow candles that were extinguished hours ago during evening prayers. You sit on a sturdy wooden bench, wrapped tightly in a heavy, warm wool blanket. The silence inside these granite walls is dense and unbreakable. On the shelves rest beautifully illuminated manuscripts, filled with silver and gold lettering that gleams faintly in the dim moonlight. These books contain the early histories of navigation, the chronicles of kings, and the solitary meditations of the monks who lived between the sky and the sea. Listen to the grand, slow rhythm of the ocean outside. The fortress does not shake. The stone walls stand perfectly still against the wind. The knowledge gathered here is safe, isolated from the noise of the land by the rising tides. As you focus on the steady, unchanging rise and fall of the distant sea, your breathing naturally matches its vast, slow rhythm. You are warm, you are completely secure, and you drift away into a deep, protected sleep. Section 32. The Library of the Coimbra University. The maritime roar of the northern coast softens into the warm, mist-covered hills of Portugal. We travel to the early 18th century, entering the magnificent Joanina Library at the University of Coimbra. Outside, a gentle night breeze moves through the university courtyards, carrying the sweet scent of wild rosemary and pine needles from the surrounding valley. The library hall is a stunning display of Baroque architecture, divided into 3 vast rooms separated by grand, decorated arches. The walls are lined with enormous double-storied bookshelves made of exotic Brazilian woods, rich rosewood, heavy ebony, and dark jacaranda, all covered in delicate, hand-painted gold patterns. The ceiling is a beautiful expanse of trompe-l'oeil paintings that look like an open, classical sky, casting an aura of permanent grandeur over the room. The atmosphere here carries an incredible sense of scholarly peace. The air is rich with the grounding scent of polished exotic wood, heavy leather bindings, old gold leaf, and the faint dry fragrance of old paper. Thousands of rare volumes containing the early works of European law, medicine, and the logs of the early explorers who mapped the oceans sit in perfect, absolute order. You find a place in a deep, cushioned leather chair tucked away in a quiet alcove near a massive window. Outside, the night sky is clear and dark, filled with brilliant stars that look down on the sleeping city below. The silence here is immense and majestic. The books rest on their shelves, completely undisturbed by the passage of time. An ancient secret adds to the peace of this room. A colony of tiny, silent bats lives behind the bookshelves, coming out only in the deepest part of the night to protect the old pages from insects. They move like whispers through the high arches, completely silent, maintaining the safety of the library. As you listen to the absolute stillness of the great hall, your eyelids grow heavy. Your body feels completely relaxed, and you slowly sink deeper into the timeless safety of the Portuguese night. Section 33. The Whispering Library of San Marco. The gold-patterned arches of Portugal gently dissolve, transforming into the soft, warm night air of 15th century Florence. We find ourselves inside the quiet library of the convent of San Marco, designed by the great Renaissance architect Michelozzo. Outside, the stone streets of the city are quiet, the markets are closed, and the cool night air moves smoothly through the open arches of the central courtyard below. The library hall is a masterwork of simple, elegant balance. It is divided into 3 long aisles by 2 rows of smooth, slender stone columns that support a series of low, vaulted ceilings. The pure white plaster walls reflect the silver moonlight streaming through rows of symmetrical windows, creating a uniform pale glow that fills the room with a profound sense of clarity and peace. The atmosphere inside this hall is deeply meditative and calm. The air carries a clean, comforting fragrance, a pure blend of freshly washed linen, beeswax used to polish the simple wooden desks, and the faint, dry scent of parchment scrolls. Along the aisles, long wooden benches hold beautifully handwritten manuscripts containing the early works of history, philosophy, and poetry, all arranged in perfect, silent order. You find a place on one of the smooth wooden benches, resting your back against a stone pillar. Looking down the central aisle, the perfect alignment of the columns creates an intense feeling of stability and structure. The deep intellectual storms of the world have no place here. The texts are completed, the ink is dry, and the knowledge rests safely in the quiet hall. Listen to the absolute stillness of the convent night. There are no loud noises, no distractions, and no rush. The thick stone walls protect you entirely from the outside world. As you watch the soft moonlight move slowly across the stone floor, your mind finds a natural state of rest. Your body feels warm and heavy, your breathing slows down, and you drift deeper into the peaceful harmony of the Florentine night. Section 34, the Archive of the Silver Mining Guild. The elegant stone columns of Florence change and settle, transforming into the thick protective timber structures of a mountain valley in 17th century Saxony. We travel to the historic silver mining town of Freiburg, entering the heavily guarded archive room of the Royal Mining Guild. Outside, a gentle mountain mist rolls down from the dark pine forests, wrapping the wooden houses and cobblestone pathways in a thick, silent blanket. The archive is located in a secure, stone-walled chamber on the lower level of the guild hall. The ceiling is supported by massive beams of dark, aged oak that have survived centuries of mountain winters. The room is lined with sturdy wooden chests and low cabinets fitted with heavy iron bands and deep locks, built specifically to guard the most important records of the region. The air inside holds an incredibly grounding and unique fragrance, a mixture of old paper documents, heavy leather binders, rich wood resin, and the faint, mineral sharpness of clean mountain stone. Here lie the detailed hand-drawn maps of the deep underground tunnels, the long registers of silver production, and the ancient legal charts of the mountain valleys, all resting in perfect darkness. You sit on a sturdy wooden stool near a large table, resting your hands on the cool wood. A single candle inside an iron lantern casts a soft, warm amber glow across the room, making the shadows soft and long. The miners have long returned to their homes. The great water wheels are still, and the keys to the heavy chests are hanging silently on the wall. Feel the deep, unshakable stability of this space. The massive stone walls and heavy timbers protect you completely from the cold mountain air outside. The histories and maps stored in these wooden chests are permanent and secure, untouched by the passage of time. As you focus on the steady, unchanging silence of the mountain archive, a profound feeling of safety settles into your limbs. Your breathing becomes regular, slow, and deep, drawing you effortlessly into the calm of the night. Section 35, the Imperial Pavilion of Hue. The heavy timber vaults of the mountain valley soften and expand, melting into the warm, silver-lit night of early 19th century Vietnam. We travel to the imperial capital of Hue, entering the beautiful, secluded archives of the Nguyen dynasty. Outside, a soft tropical breeze moves through the royal gardens, rustling the leaves of old frangipani trees and creating a continuous, gentle whisper across the palace grounds. The pavilion is an architectural masterpiece, built entirely from dark, polished ironwood and light cedar. The roof features wide, sweeping eaves lined with dark tiles that catch the pale moonlight, while the floors are covered with fine, smooth bamboo mats that keep the room cool and fresh. There are no heavy iron locks or massive stone walls here. Instead, sliding wooden screens separate the rooms, allowing the gentle scent of the night garden to move freely through the space. Inside the quiet archive, thousands of historical records and court poetries are stored on low, floating lacquer shelves. The documents are written on delicate, hand-pressed paper and stored inside beautiful boxes made of fragrant sandalwood, which protect the inks from the warm humidity of the valley. Each box is tied with a simple cord of gold silk, resting in perfect, undisturbed order. You recline on a comfortable linen mat near the open sliding screen, looking out at the quiet palace lake. The water is perfectly flat and dark, acting like a dark mirror for the bright moon and the stars hanging low over the horizon. The court musicians have finished their songs, the guards are silent, and the entire palace is fast asleep. The silence here is deep, elegant, and natural. The history written in these sandalwood boxes tells of long eras of internal peace and the gentle movement of the seasons. As you breathe in the calming scent of cedar and garden flowers, your body releases all remaining tension. Your mind becomes clear and quiet, dropping naturally into the peaceful rhythm of the Eastern night. Section 36. The Library of the Golden Monastery. The tropical gardens of Hue slowly dissolve, transforming into the crisp, cool mountain air of 16th century Tibet. We find ourselves inside the high stone library of the Tholing Monastery, perched securely on a remote cliffside overlooking a vast, silent valley. Outside, the high mountain wind moves gently over the rocky peaks, but inside these massive clay and stone walls, the air is perfectly still and silent. The library hall is a long, narrow sanctuary built with heavy beams of Himalayan cedar that support a low, flat ceiling. The walls are painted in deep, rich tones of dark maroon and muted indigo, decorated with ancient symbols of balance that soften the silver moonlight streaming through the small, square windows. The floor is made of thick, polished wood planks, covered in areas with heavy wool carpets that absorb every sound. The collection here is magnificent and profoundly calm. Instead of bound volumes, the walls are filled with thousands of individual rectangular manuscript sheets, held securely between carved wooden blocks and wrapped in vibrant covers of gold and saffron-colored silk. These texts contain the oldest histories of the mountain passes, early medicine, and meditations on absolute inner peace. You recline on a comfortable platform layered with thick wool rugs near a window. Looking out, you see the vast, dark mountain landscape extending into the horizon under a sky packed with cold, brilliant stars. The monks have finished their evening chants, the butter lamps have been lowered, and the wooden printing blocks are resting in dark trays. The atmosphere carries an incredible sense of timeless stability. The air is rich with the grounding scent of dried cedar wood, natural earth pigments, and the faint, sweet warmth of beeswax. The ancient words wrapped in silk have waited for centuries in these dark alcoves, untouched by the noise of the lower world. As you focus on the absolute silence of the mountain height, a deep feeling of security wraps around your body. Your breathing becomes slow, regular, and heavy, drawing you naturally into a restful sleep. Section 37. The Maritime Archive of Lisbon. The cold mountain peaks of the east change and soften, transforming into the warm, salt-scented night air of 16th century Portugal. We travel to the bustling era of maritime discovery, entering the secure, stone-walled archives of the Casa da India in Lisbon, overlooking the wide mouth of the Tagus River. The busy docks are quiet now. The grand caravels ride smoothly at anchor, their tall masts rising silently into the dark night sky. The archival room is a long, low vault, supported by sturdy pillars of maritime stone. The architecture is thick and solid, built to protect the kingdom's most valuable treasures from both fire and the damp sea air. Long tables of dark Brazilian timber line the center of the room, their smooth surfaces polished by generations of cartographers and captains. The atmosphere here holds an incredibly grounding and adventurous peace. The air is filled with a unique fragrance, a blend of old linen paper, heavy calfskin binders, iron gall ink, and the faint, distinct scent of pine resin, dried spices, and sea salt brought back from voyages across unknown oceans. On the heavy shelves rest the secret sea charts, the daily logs of legendary captains, and detailed maps of distant coastlines, all resting in perfect order. You sit in a comfortable wood-framed leather chair near a deep window arch. Outside, the dark waters of the river glide silently toward the Atlantic Ocean, reflecting the bright silver light of a full moon. The navigators have put away their brass compasses, the scholars have capped their inkwells, and the heavy iron keys have turned in the doors for the night. Feel the deep stability of this stone vault. The grand journeys are mapped, the oceans are charted, and the records are safe within the heart of the kingdom. There is no rush, no movement, and nothing you need to accomplish tonight. As you listen to the distant, rhythmic murmur of the tide against the stone harbor, A profound sense of calm fills your limbs. Your breathing becomes long, regular, and deep, carrying you into the safe eternity of the night. Section 38. The Cloister Archive of Glastonbury. The coastal waters of Lisbon melt away, replaced by the soft, mist-covered green hills of medieval England. We travel to the 13th century, entering the secluded manuscript archives of Glastonbury Abbey. Outside, a thick, silent summer fog has rolled over the surrounding orchards and marshlands, wrapping the grand stone arches and ancient ruins in a dense, protective blanket that smothers all sound. The archive is a quiet, square room located adjacent to the main cloister gardens. The walls are built from thick blocks of local Somerset limestone, which keep the interior remarkably cool and calm. Narrow lancet windows look out into the misty courtyard, where a single old oak tree stands completely motionless under the pale moonlight. The atmosphere inside this sanctuary carries a deep, pastoral peace. The room is filled with the comforting scent of beeswax used to polish the simple oak desks, the rich aroma of heavy leather bindings, and the faint, dry fragrance of hand-pressed linen paper. Thousands of volumes containing the early chronicles of Britain, old botanical guides, and hand-copied poems sit in neat wooden cubicles that line the stone walls. You sit in a high-backed wooden chair within a quiet alcove, resting your hands on the cool wood of the desk. The workspace is entirely clean and orderly. The goose quills rest in shallow trays, and the heavy iron clasps of the books are closed securely for the night. The monks have returned to their silent cells, and the entire abbey is resting under the fog. There is no pressure to read, no pressure to learn. The histories are written, the records are bound, and the knowledge is resting safely in the dark. The thick stone walls protect you completely from the movement of the outside world, creating a private universe of absolute quiet. As you focus on the steady, unchanging silence of the misty cloister, your eyelids grow heavy, your muscles loosen entirely, and you sink effortlessly into a deep, protected sleep. Section 39. The Library of the Grand Vizier at Topkapi. The misty green hills of the English abbey slowly dissolve, transforming into the warm, silver-lit night of 16th century Istanbul. We find ourselves inside the private library pavilions of the Topkapi Palace, nestled within the quietest gardens of the third courtyard. Outside, a gentle night breeze moves through ancient cypress trees and marble colonnades, carrying the faint, salty scent of the Sea of Marmara and the smooth murmur of distant waters. The library pavilion is a sanctuary of ultimate craftsmanship and calm. The walls are lined from floor to ceiling with beautiful Iznik tiles in shades of deep turquoise, soft cobalt blue, and pure white, which give the air a remarkably cool, clean quality. The floors are covered with thick, hand-woven silk carpets that completely absorb the sound of any footstep, wrapping the entire space in a dense layer of quiet. Inside the room, low cabinets carved from dark walnut wood and inlaid with shimmering mother-of-pearl and ivory hold thousands of exquisite manuscripts. These are the works of the world's finest calligraphers, historians, and astronomers. The books are written on thick, polished paper that feels smooth like silk, decorated with liquid gold leaf and brilliant miniature paintings that now rest quietly in the dark. You recline on a low, velvet-cushioned divan near a wide, arched window. Outside, the moonlight creates a silver path across the dark waters of the Bosporus. The palace scribes have washed their reed pens. The gold-flecked inkwells are capped, and the Grand Vizier's council has closed its ledgers for the night. The air holds a deeply comforting, exotic aroma, a blend of dried rose petals, aromatic cedar wood, and the rich, clean scent of fine leather bindings. The histories written here speak of long golden eras, of vast mapped lands, and of the regular, predictable movements of the stars. As you listen to the soft wind rustling through the palace cypress trees, your body sinks into a state of complete relaxation. You are perfectly secure, protected by stone walls and centuries of history, drifting deeper into the calm of the Imperial night. Section 40. the Scholars' Tower at Bologna. The tile-lined pavilions of Istanbul soften and transform, replacing the warm eastern air with the crisp, cool midnight breeze of 14th century Italy. We find ourselves at the top of a private stone tower in the historic university city of Bologna. Outside, the countless brick towers and clay-tiled roofs of the city rest quietly beneath a vast sky crowded with brilliant, sharp stars. The tower room is a private sanctuary for a master of law and history. The walls are constructed from thick, solid medieval brick that is cooled completely after the setting of the sun. Massive beams of aged chestnut wood cross the ceiling, giving the room a sturdy, grounding structural frame. High, narrow windows look out in all four directions, offering a panoramic view of a completely silent world. The atmosphere here is rich with the distinct scent of academic peace. The room is filled with the comforting fragrance of heavy calfskin vellum, dried iron gall ink, and the sweet, clean aroma of beeswax candles that were put out hours ago. Massive wooden desks line the walls, each holding open folio volumes protected by heavy wooden covers and brass corner pieces that catch the faint moonlight. You sit in a comfortable, deep wooden armchair in the center of the tower. On the main desk, a collection of hand-drawn maps of the Italian provinces and old legal codes rest in perfect order. The students have left the taverns, the church bells are silent until dawn, and the city gates are locked tight. Feel the absolute isolation and safety of this high room. The noise of the mortal world cannot climb these stone stairs. The knowledge gathered in this tower is permanent, structured, and completely safe from the chaos of time. As you trace the straight, clean lines of the brick walls and look out at the unchanging positions of the stars, your mind enters a state of natural order. Your breathing slows down, your limbs grow heavy and warm, and you yield completely to the protective silence of the Italian night. Section 41. The Archive of the Imperial Observatory. The brick towers of Bologna fade away, expanding into the vast open nights of 18th century Jaipur. We travel to the peaceful reign of Maharaja Sawai Jai Singh II, entering the private archival rooms of the great Jantar Mantar Observatory. Outside, giant stone astronomical instruments rise into the midnight sky like abstract sculptures, built precisely to measure the calm, eternal dance of the planets. The archival room is a low stone structure built from local red sandstone and cool white marble. The architecture is thick and heavily insulated, designed to keep the sensitive brass astrolabes, sundials, and parchment star charts safe from the elements. The floors are made of smooth, cool marble slabs that reflect the brilliant moonlight like sheets of still water. The air inside carries a deeply grounding intellectual aroma, a mixture of old paper, heavy leather map cases, polished brass oil, and the sweet, herbal scent of sandalwood paste used in the evening meditations. On the low marble benches rest long, folded manuscripts, filled with rows of mathematical calculations, precise star coordinates, and historical records of eclipses from centuries past. You recline on a clean, soft cotton rug near a wide, open archway that looks out into the observatory courtyard. The night air is soft, dry, and cool. Through the arch, you can see the massive, triangular stone dial pointing directly toward the North Star, the one fixed, unchanging point in the spinning sky. The astronomers have finished their measurements for the evening. The heavy brass instruments are locked in their cases, and the inkstones are dry. The universe above you is vast, perfectly balanced, and moving in complete, silent harmony. The history written in these archives is the history of time itself, steady and predictable. As you align your thoughts with the slow, eternal movement of the stars, all remaining tension leaves your muscles. Your breathing becomes long, regular, and deep, carrying you safely into an undisturbed, restful sleep. Section 42. The Library of the Grand Masters at Valletta. The sandstone instruments of the observatory slowly fade into the soft, warm darkness of the open sea. We travel to the 16th century, entering the high, protective stone citadel of Valletta on the island of Malta. Outside, a gentle Mediterranean night breeze sweeps up from the Grand Harbor, moving through the deep stone archways of the Palace of the Grand Master. Below the massive fortifications, the dark sea moves in a steady, slow rhythm, its low murmur acting as a natural white noise that blankets the entire city. Inside the palace library, the atmosphere is incredibly secure and still. The room is built from immense blocks of local limestone, which retain a faint, comforting trace of the daytime sun. High, vaulted ceilings rise into the shadows, supported by rows of simple stone pillars that create a beautiful sense of balance and permanent order. The air inside holds a deeply grounding, rustic fragrance, a blend of polished wood, heavy beeswax seals, and the rich leather of ancient books brought to the island by knights and scholars from every corner of Europe. On the heavy shelves rest rare volumes containing treatises on navigation, hand-drawn maps of forgotten islands, and early texts on astronomy, all resting in perfect, undisturbed rows. You recline on a wide, cushioned stone bench beneath a grand arched window, wrapped in a cool linen sheet. Looking out, you can see the dark silhouette of the fortresses guarding the water, and the faint, steady light of a single watchtower out at sea. The island is safe. Protected by stone walls that have outlived empires, the knights have laid down their armor, the scribes have closed their inkwells, and the entire city is fast asleep. Listen to the absolute silence inside these thick walls. The world outside is vast and dark, but inside this room, everything is structured and calm. As you focus on the regular distant sigh of the sea against the stone, a profound feeling of safety flows through your body. Your breathing becomes long, slow, and deep, drawing you naturally into a restful sleep. Section 43, the Archive of the Wool Guild at Ghent. The warm maritime air of the Mediterranean changes and cools, transforming into the crisp, quiet night of 15th century Flanders. We find ourselves in the historic city of Ghent, stepping inside the heavily guarded archive room of the Grand Wool Guild. Outside, a thick, silent midnight fog has rolled in from the canals, wrapping the cobblestone markets, step-gabled houses, and distant bell towers in a dense, protective blanket that smothers all sound. The archive is located in a secure, stone-walled chamber on the lower level of the guild hall. The ceiling is supported by massive beams of dark, aged oak that have stood firm through generations of northern winters. The room is lined with sturdy wooden chests and low cabinets fitted with heavy iron bands and deep brass locks, built specifically to guard the most important records of the city's trade. The air inside holds an incredibly grounding and unique fragrance, a mixture of old linen paper, heavy leather ledgers, rich wood resin, and the faint, comforting scent of raw, clean wool stored in the adjoining warehouses. Here lie the detailed hand-drawn maps of European trade routes, the beautifully written records of weavers, and the ancient legal charts of the Flemish towns, all resting in perfect darkness. You sit in a comfortable, high-backed wooden chair near a large oak table, resting your arms on the smooth wood. A single candle inside an iron lantern casts a soft, warm amber glow across the room, making the shadows long and soft. The merchants have long returned to their homes, the great spinning wheels are still, and the keys to the heavy chests are hanging silently on the wall. Feel the deep, unshakable stability of this space. The massive stone walls protect you completely from the cold dampness of the night air outside. The histories and maps stored in these wooden chests are permanent and secure, untouched by the noise of the moving world. As you focus on the steady, unchanging silence of the room, a profound feeling of relaxation settles into your limbs. Your breathing becomes slow, regular, and deep, drawing you effortlessly into the calm of the night. Section 44. The Silent Pavilion of Mount Tai. The heavy timber vaults of Flanders soften and expand, melting into the warm, silver-lit night of ancient China. We travel back to the Han Dynasty, entering a private Imperial archive pavilion nestled on the sacred slopes of Mount Tai. Outside, a gentle night wind moves through a grove of ancient pine trees, creating a soft, continuous rustling sound, like the gentle pouring of dry sand. It is a natural melody that clears away all remaining thoughts from your mind. The pavilion is an architectural masterpiece built entirely from dark, polished cedar and light bamboo. The roof features wide, sweeping eaves lined with dark tiles that catch the pale moonlight, while the floors are covered with fine, smooth straw mats that keep the room cool and fresh. There are no heavy stone walls or iron locks here. Instead, sliding screens made of delicate paper separate the spaces, allowing the clean mountain air to move freely through the room. Inside the quiet archive, thousands of historical scrolls and philosophical texts are stored on low, floating cedar shelves. The documents are written on delicate, hand-pressed mulberry paper and stored inside beautiful boxes made of fragrant paulownia wood, which protect the ink from the mountain humidity. Each box is tied with a simple cord of soft silk, resting in perfect, undisturbed order. You recline on a soft wool mat near the open sliding screen, looking out at the vast mountain landscape below. The valleys are filled with a quiet, white mist that rests perfectly still under the stars. The court scribes have finished their work, the inkstones are dry, and the horsehair brushes hang motionless from their wooden racks. The silence here is deep, elegant, and entirely natural. The history written in these wooden boxes tells of long golden eras, of passing clouds, and of the regular, predictable movements of the seasons. As you breathe in the calming scent of cedar and fresh pine, your body releases all remaining tension. Your mind becomes clear and quiet, dropping naturally into the peaceful rhythm of the mountain night. Section 45. The Cloister Archive of San Millán de la Cogolla. The silent mountain mist of Mount Tai transforms into the cool stone grandeur of 10th century northern Spain. We find ourselves deep within the valley of the San Millán Monastery, entering the secluded scriptorium where the very first written words of the Spanish language are being recorded. Outside, a soft night wind moves through the surrounding vineyards and oak forests, but inside these massive sandstone walls, the air is perfectly still and silent. The Archive Hall is a beautiful display of early Romanesque architecture, supported by short, sturdy stone pillars and low, rounded arches. The floor is made of smooth, wide stone slabs that hold the cool calm of the earth. Small, deeply set windows allow the silver moonlight to fall in neat rectangles across the wooden writing desks, leaving the rest of the room wrapped in soft, protective shadows. The atmosphere here carries an incredible sense of permanent peace. The air is rich with the grounding scent of dried animal vellum, heavy leather bindings, iron gall ink, and the clean, sweet aroma of beeswax candles that were put out hours ago. On the sturdy oak shelves rest the earliest codices, handwritten histories of the Iberian Mountains, and beautiful botanical charts detailing the medicinal herbs of the valley. You sit in a comfortable, high-backed wooden chair within a quiet alcove, resting your hands on the cool stone of the desk. The workspace is entirely clean and orderly. The goose quills rest in shallow wooden trays, and the heavy iron clasps of the books are closed securely for the night. The monks have returned to their silent cells, and the entire valley is resting under the stars. There is no pressure to read, no pressure to learn. The histories are written, the records are bound, and the knowledge is resting safely in the dark. The thick stone walls protect you completely from the movement of the outside world, creating a private universe of absolute quiet. As you focus on the steady, unchanging silence of the room, your eyelids grow heavy, your muscles loosen entirely, and you sink effortlessly into a deep, protected sleep. Section 46. The Royal Library of Prague. The sandstone arches of Spain slowly shift and change, replacing the warm Mediterranean night with the crisp, clean midnight breeze of late 14th century Bohemia. We find ourselves within the stone walls of the Carolinum, the great university library of Prague. Outside, a thick, silent silver fog rolls over the Vltava River, wrapping the old stone bridges and Gothic spires in a dense, protective coat that dampens every sound in the city. The library room is a sanctuary of deep intellect and structural order. The walls are lined with tall cabinets made of dark, aged oak, fitted with beautiful iron latches that hold the collection in perfect security. The ceiling features heavy timber beams of aged pine, giving the room a sturdy, grounding architectural frame that feels entirely permanent. The atmosphere here is remarkably warm, safe, and grounding. The air carries a wonderfully comforting aroma, a blend of old leather bindings, thick parchment pages, rich ink, and the faint, sweet scent of wood smoke coming from the central hearth of the courtyard below. Here lie the early books of astronomy, hand-drawn star maps, and beautifully illustrated volumes of classical poetry. You recline in a deep, cushioned wooden chair tucked into a quiet corner near a tall, arched window. Looking out, the night sky is hidden behind the quiet fog, leaving you in a private world of absolute peace. The great brass globes and astrolabes stand completely still on their wooden stands, their surfaces gleaming softly in the dim light. The world outside is fast asleep, and the intense work of the day's scholars is finished. The books sit tightly packed in their rows, holding the deep secrets of history and science in perfect, quiet order. As you listen to the absolute silence of the high stone hall, a profound feeling of safety flows through your body. Your breathing becomes regular, slow, and deep, drawing you further into the heavy calm of the northern night. Section 47. The Library of the Silver Pavilion. The foggy stone halls of Prague gently melt away, replaced by the delicate, pristine silence of a midnight garden in 15th century Kyoto. We travel to the peaceful retirement of the shogun Ashikaga Yoshimasa, entering the private archive room of the Ginkakuji, the Silver Pavilion. Outside, a gentle night wind moves through a courtyard filled with smooth white sand and dark volcanic rocks, creating a soft, repeating melody that balances your mind. The pavilion is built entirely from fine, aromatic timber, light cypress, polished cedar, and dark lacquer. The floors are covered with thick, smooth tatami mats made of woven rush grass, which give the air a clean, fresh, and deeply grounding scent. There are no heavy stone walls or iron locks here. Instead, sliding screens made of delicate paper separate the spaces, filtering the pure moonlight into a soft, uniform glow. Inside the quiet archive, thousands of long scrolls made of finest mulberry paper rest on low, floating cedar shelves. Some are wrapped in protective covers of patterned silk, while others are stored inside beautiful boxes made of fragrant paulownia wood, which protect the ink from the mountain humidity. Here lie the oldest court poetries, the secret maps of the coast, and the silent philosophical texts of early Zen masters. You sit comfortably on a soft silk cushion on the tatami floor. Through an open screen, you can see a small stone lantern illuminating a quiet moss garden. A tiny stream of water flows from a bamboo pipe into a smooth stone basin, making a gentle, repeating sound. Drop, drop, drop. The inkstones are clean. The fine horsehair brushes hang motionless from their wooden racks, and the court scribes have returned to their quarters. The history written on these scrolls is a history of seasons, of passing clouds, and of long eras of internal peace. As you breathe in the calming scent of cedar and rush grass, your body releases all remaining tension. Your mind becomes clear and quiet, dropping naturally into the peaceful rhythm of the Eastern night. Section 48. The Imperial Library of Vienna. The delicate wooden pavilions of Kyoto fade away into the grand, majestic stone halls of 18th century Central Europe. We travel to the peaceful reign of Emperor Charles VI, stepping inside the magnificent Imperial Court Library in Vienna. Outside, a gentle spring breeze sweeps across the grand stone courtyards, but inside these immense walls, the air is perfectly still, captured in a state of eternal peace. The grand hall of the library is breathtakingly vast, built with tall marble walls and supported by towering columns of gray and white stone. Above you, a massive dome features soft, elegant frescoes of pale blues and muted golds, depicting the classical muses looking down like silent guardians over the room. The floor is laid with polished marble slabs that create a beautiful mirror-like surface, catching the silver moonlight. The atmosphere here carries an incredible sense of permanent stability. The air is thick with a deeply comforting, complex aroma. The rich, grounding scent of aged walnut bookshelves, heavy Morocco leather bindings, and the faint, dry fragrance of old paper and gold leaf. Thousands of massive folio volumes, containing the early records of European history, detailed star charts, and beautiful hand-drawn maps of ancient empires, sit in perfect, absolute order. You recline in a deep, cushioned leather armchair tucked away in a quiet alcove near a massive window. Outside, the night sky is clear and dark, filled with cold, brilliant stars that look down on the sleeping city. The court scholars have long returned to their homes. The silver inkwells are capped, and the heavy iron keys have turned in the door locks for the night. Feel the absolute security of this majestic sanctuary. No noise from the outside world can breach these thick walls. No distraction can reach this private space. As you focus on the steady, unchanging symmetry of the classical architecture, your mind enters a natural rhythm of rest. Your body feels wonderfully heavy and warm. Your breathing becomes slow and regular, and you slowly drift deeper into the timeless calm of the night. Section 49. The Archive of the Spice Guild at Amsterdam. The grand marble columns of Vienna slowly shift and settle, transforming into the thick, protective timber structures of 17th century Amsterdam. We travel to the golden age of maritime trade, entering the heavily guarded archive room of the United Amsterdam Spice Guild. Outside, a thick midnight fog has rolled in from the North Sea, wrapping the canals, brick step-gabled houses, and silent merchant ships in a dense, protective blanket that smothers all sound. The archive is located in a secure, stone-walled chamber on the lower level of the guild hall, built right adjacent to the dark waters of the canal. The ceiling is supported by massive beams of dark, aged oak that have survived generations of northern winters. The room is lined with sturdy wooden chests and low cabinets fitted with heavy iron bands and deep brass locks, built specifically to guard the most important trade records and secret maps of the ocean routes. The air inside holds an incredibly grounding, unique and rich fragrance, a mixture of old linen paper, heavy leather ledgers, rich wood resin, and the warm, exotic scent of dried cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves that has seeped into the timber walls from the adjoining warehouses. Here lie the detailed, hand-drawn maps of the East Indies, the beautifully written records of early sea captains, and the ancient legal charts of the Dutch ports, all resting in perfect darkness. You sit in a comfortable, high-backed wooden chair near a large oak table, resting your hands on the smooth wood. A single candle inside an iron lantern casts a soft, warm amber glow across the room, making the shadows long and soft. The merchants have long returned to their homes. The great harbor cranes are still, and the keys to the heavy chests are hanging silently on the wall. Feel the deep, unshakable stability of this space. The massive stone walls protect you completely from the cold dampness of the night air outside. The histories and maps stored in these wooden chests are permanent and secure, untouched by the noise of the moving world. As you focus on the steady, unchanging silence of the room, a profound feeling of relaxation settles into your limbs. Your breathing becomes slow, regular, and deep, drawing you effortlessly into the calm of the night. Section 50. The Eternal Sanctuary of Books. We leave the canals of the north behind, traveling across oceans and centuries until all specific places melt away, leaving only the pure, universal concept of the eternal library. We find ourselves in a timeless hall of knowledge, a sanctuary that represents every quiet room, every stone vault, and every wooden pavilion we have visited on our long journey through history. The architecture here is simple, balanced, and infinitely calm. The walls are built from smooth, dark stone that holds the cool stability of the earth. while the high ceiling is supported by heavy timber beams that give off a warm, grounding aroma of cedar and pine. Soft, silver moonlight streams through a long row of high, arched windows, illuminating the floor in a uniform, peaceful glow that eliminates all sharp edges and all shadows from the room. The endless rows of bookshelves stretch out into the distance, filled with millions of handwritten pages, rolled silk scrolls, and beautifully bound leather books. Every word that has ever been written about the history of humanity, the beauty of nature, and the movements of the stars is resting here, side by side, in perfect, absolute harmony. There are no conflicts in these pages, no noise, and no hurry. Every story is completed, every map is drawn, and the ink has been dry for centuries. You lie down on a large, incredibly comfortable bed, layered with soft, cool linen sheets placed right in the center of this peaceful sanctuary. The air is clear, perfectly still, and carries the faint, comforting fragrance of old paper, polished wood, and clean wax. Through the windows, you can see a vast sky crowded with brilliant stars that move in their predictable, eternal paths, completely indifferent to the passage of time. Listen to the absolute silence of this ultimate library. It is a living, protective silence that wraps around your body like a heavy, warm blanket. The work of the world is completely done. There is nothing you need to seek, nothing you need to learn, and nothing you need to accomplish. The knowledge of the universe is safe, the books are resting in the dark, and you are completely secure within this fortress of peace. Your eyelids grow incredibly heavy, your muscles loosen entirely, and your breathing drops into a deep, effortless, and regular rhythm, carrying you safely into a profound, undisturbed, and beautiful sleep.